what is the UK like particularly well suited to growing? I know you have this like kind of historical meme of like English people being roast beefs. So I use the word English. We can use the word English. We have a Scot here, so let's change the British.
They have oats. They have oats over there.
Yeah, oats and sheep. But like, what are we particularly well suited to kind of to growing? And then the second point is like, what is the state of food security? If a war broke out, would the net amount of calories we produce in this country be able to sustain the current population?
Yeah, so we are very good at producing cereals and like meat and dairy, essentially. But all of those things are not very labor intensive. Our climate and soils would also be good at producing vegetables and stuff, but these are often more labor intensive, and we don't have the workforce to do that. Essentially,
Okay.
less good at oranges and bananas and stuff, right? So on a food security point, it would be unrealistic to ever expect Britain to be able to feed itself, and particularly not in tropical things. This is why we have Ribena, by the way, because in the war we couldn't import vitamin C, so we made a domestic source of it, which is why blackcurrant things are popular still. But yeah, we import at the moment about 40% of our food. This is likely to get worse with the government's decision to remove food production subsidies and go free market. I just think it's insane, but obviously, I think it's malicious, as I explained earlier. I think they're seeking growth at the expense of food production. But the sort of other side of that coin is that they seem to want industrialization, so they have this big emphasis on profit, and they're not against food production if it's profitable, but what that means is like factory farms kind of stuff, which is no help to people like my family, and I think will be environmentally damaging. And I don't think that I don't think the people who voted Labour would like that, as is true of a lot of their policies. So it's not very good. Is the short answer. We are reliant on imports. It's probably going to get worse, but we may be saved by industrialized factory farming, which I don't really want to see for other reasons.
That's why you guys are so demonized, because like Peter shows the video of like the worst 1% of farms like actually really heinously abusing animals versus like
Yeah,
family farm in Lincolnshire who's doing some dairy, like looking after the cows and
yeah. I guess the other problem is that because farmers are sort of culturally distinct, we're often really bad at defending ourselves. I mean, I will make some attempts to do this in the future, but we don't really have any particularly articulate or we don't really have any particular right. We don't. Oh dear. We don't really have any particularly articulate spokespeople or people who would survive like a cross examination of their backgrounds, right? So I mean, like Clarkson was mentioned. He's been great at raising profile, but as soon as he's been used as a campaign tool, he's very wealthy. He bought his farm to avoid tax. He's not a real farmer. He's very conservative. He hates the Labour Party. He hates the BBC. And it's so the difficulty with the vegan point is that vegans are typically young, media savvy, presentable, educated, and then farmers are the opposite of that. So I think the farmers are right and the vegans are wrong. But if you just get an average YouTube video with vegan versus farmer, the vegan always comes off better. I mean, I've seen some that I just think are quite mean because you get late teen, early 20s aggressive vegan, and then just get some nervous farmer who's obviously on his own in the room and not used to talking on a camera, and then he sort of seems jittery and can't defend himself, and it's just like, well, he lives differently to you. You have to empathize with that, but they don't.
Well, could this generation have found its spokesman in Oli slowly?
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm not. Some of them think that, but I don't. It's there's. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm sort of. I guess I'm trying to do my bit. I feel like I have to say it. If people listen or don't, that's kind of on them. But I'd feel bad if I didn't try. Just because I think that something very something very beautiful is what I was going to say, but as well as that, something of material benefit to society is being very quickly lost in this country, and I think if I didn't try to defend it, it would go, and then I'd feel bad.
The onus is on farmers like yourself to speak up about, the benefits of farming, or do you think it's, government
We
policy?
need to do that. We need to do that. Well, we need to. Oh, well, I mean, to be honest with you, what I want to say there is we have to fight a culture war positively. We have to tell a different story about the countryside, which is where my history thing comes in. We need to tell a positive story about the countryside, and we need to welcome people into our way of life. I mean, this is the whole cultural tolerance thing. I think our communities are wonderful, but we need to open them up and show people why they're valuable. Um, but then hopefully the end result of that is to explain to the Labour Party what a left wing food policy looks like. But I'm not sure even proving that now would be of much use, given so much of the rest of their program seems to be at best neoliberal and at worst just extremely far right. I mean, so we've got to try. I don't know. Sometimes it seems like a bit of an impossible task, but what else can you do?